I'm very excited about this panel. So ladies, once you take those 3 seats over there, I'm going to sit here. And
thanks, pal.
You're welcome. Hey, Miriam, how are you? See you. In the midst of me talking about perseverance, I wanted to be able to, we want to talk to ladies who are doing their own ministry and what perseverance looks like for them. So this is an important moment and panel for us for a lot of different reasons. I have found that I often seek counsel from women in my life because ladies just have a voice and say things and observations that men don't. And I have been so helped by having other women in my life that I can seek counsel and help and wisdom from. And I want you to be able to benefit in that same way. We're missing one. Jennifer with mile 1, unfortunately had a family emergency that caused her to have to stay home. Certainly was a good thing that she did that. But we do miss her, and I do want to say thank you to her for being willing to serve in this panel. But I want you to meet this panel. I want to actually first ask ladies, will you just take a moment and introduce yourself? Who are you, and what's your ministry role in your particular ministry? Shall you start?
So I am Sharon Dickens. My ministry role is that I am the Director of Women's Ministries, and I serve with 20 schemes in Scotland.
Yeah, thanks. Miriam?
I'm Miriam McConnell, and I work with Shabba within 20 schemes, specifically looking after planters' wives, but I'm also the women's worker in a church in Orkney.
Okay, thank you. Andrea?
My name is Ann.
Oh, I think it's on. I just got to turn it up a little bit. Yeah.
My name is Andrea Valenti, and I serve here on staff as the female soul care counselor.
Excellent. Ladies, thank you for joining us. I just first want to start with, what are some of the challenges that you face in your own ministry that are difficult to persevere through? What are some of those challenges? Would you maybe give an example of a challenge you face, and what are you doing to just try to press through and persevere in that? What keeps you going? Shabba, you want to start?
Sure. So I think if you asked me this, I have been asked this question for a long time. 10 years ago, I would have said Christians, right? So the hardest thing to do is work with Christians because it's complicated. I'm older, and I'm not as wise as I thought I was 10 years ago. And as you do get older, you realize you're a plank. I would say the hardest thing in my ministry is me, my sinfulness and what I bring to the table that's not godly. And so I get in my own way, and it's unhelpful. I have, over time, because I'm older, learned to keep short accounts with myself and the Lord. And I'm quick to apologize when I've gone wrong. But yeah, 10 years ago I would have said it was Christians, but actually the reality is it's me. I get in the way.
It's still Christians though, right? We can all agree with that.
It's true.
Yeah, thanks, Shout. Miriam, how about you?
Well, I was thinking it's probably just when you see people's lives kind of crashing, and then they get to a point where they decide to walk away from the faith. And for me, I suppose, again, years and years ago, I would have thought, oh, that's all, it's my fault. I've not discipled them well. I've not given them the right advice or whatever, that their choices is my fault. But actually, it's remembering that other person is in God's hands, and just that's what helps you persevere, thinking, I can do my best and I'll try and honor the Lord, but ultimately what they do is up to them, and they're accountable to the Lord for that.
Yeah, thank you. Andrea, what about you?
Yeah, I think similar to Miriam, in a lot of ways that's my job specifically, is that I'm meeting with people that are going through those types of struggles. And if I focus on my own role as opposed to my identity in Christ, it's very quick for me to become burdened and overwhelmed, thinking that I'm the one who's going to be responsible for that change. And I have to remember that transformation is the Lord's. I think also it's very easy to get, especially in ministry, to start comparing. These are beautiful women, they're my friends, I love them, but I don't serve the same way that they do. And if I'm trying to serve like them, I'm not going to be as effective as I would be if I'm serving as myself.
That's great, thank you. So the follow-up question is, so why do this? There's a lot of challenges, there's a lot of difficulty. Have you ever considered getting so discouraged you considered just quitting? What keeps you going? Why are you even here today? What makes this worth it for you? Shaba, will you start?
I think that's two questions.
Yeah, you can answer them both if you'd like.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the first one would be, like, why did I do it? I remember when I was first saved, and I'm unchurched. I was then. I've churched, I've had practice. And I didn't know anything. Yeah. And unhelpful Christians spoke absolute rubbish into my life. And I thought, because they were Christians longer than me and all that stuff, that they were wiser and knew more and understood the Bible. I mean, I was very wrong. And I had this one she's still in my life, one of my longest friends who knew me before I was a Christian and has known me after. And I'd go to her, and I was really feisty then, but I'm just a little bit now.
As opposed to now. Okay. Check.
And I would be like, "Rawr," and she'd be like, "Let's just work out what the Bible says about that." And so she helped me unravel all the unhelpful thinking and look to God's word for truth. And so I love that. And so for me, that's why I keep doing my job. I love discipleship. I love helping Christians grow up in the faith. I love being the one who, I like to answer the questions that they don't want to ask anybody else, even if they're hard. I'm like, really? You want to know that? I do think of all those people that invested in my life and where I would be without them. So God has been faithfully. And I think the persevering thing, did I ever want to leave? Yes. Constantly and all the time. I used to say to Miriam, I just want to go work in Tesco's. And she'd go, you'd be bored. But I didn't really mean it. But recently I did. And so we went through probably one of the hardest seasons at 20 Schemes. And it was like your 5 years. It was brutal. And then we'd had brutal. And it had been hard for a long time. But we'd come out of COVID and my family were getting decimated. So we had like 6 people in my family die in 6 months, the 3 in 1 week. Wow. And so it was a lot. And then you get the carnage of COVID, and then Christians being Christians and being unhelpful. And so it was brutal. And I remember, like, every stage, I remember saying to Mez, do I have to serve in a 20 Schemes church to serve at 20 Schemes? And Mez he always does and laughs and says, yeah. So all those things, I was looking for my out. I was praying a lot, saying, God, I really can't do this anymore. And it got worse. Every day there was another thing. And I remember Andy Kunst, my pastor, called me. And I was sitting in the car and he told me the next part of the saga. And I sat there and I went, I can't. I just can't. I actually can't. And I had to hang up on him. And I sat there in the car for a long time. And I remember saying to God, I just cannot take any more. And then you do what you do. You pray, you put the engine on, you turn around and you go back to church, which is what I did. And so for me, the perseverance, so I really wanted to leave, but your talk was right. The next year, God told me I was undone with 20 Schemes, and I had to keep going. I had to rely on him more instead of myself. And so, yes, 2 answers to 2 questions, but very long time.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And by the way, I've known you for years, and I'm really glad you're still here.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Andrea, I'm going to go to you, and I'll come back to Miriam. So how about you? What's kept you in this? Ever got so discouraged you almost thought about this isn't worth it? What keeps you in this?
Yes, I've definitely gotten so discouraged I've wanted to quit. Not this current position, don't freak out, Pastor Nate, but I'm new in this role, so that would be pretty bad if it's already ready to quit after a year. But I'm also a pastor's wife, and so I think that is something that can be extremely lonely at times. I don't want to make that about comparison, but sometimes even more lonely than being a pastor, because a lot of times pastor wives are isolated. We don't get to go to a lot of these conferences. A lot of times women are serving at their homes. And so one of the things that has helped me to persevere in that is being able to make connections with other pastor wives. I'm really grateful for things like Practical Shepherding that have cohorts and other places online on Facebook and other places where women can connect with each other. Having friendships within our church and outside of our church has been such a beautiful gift to be able to be vulnerable and be able to share those things, because we need that as well. Also, it's encouraging to hear how God is moving outside of your own church context, and to remember that God is moving not just in the local church, but the global church, and remembering what's at stake.
Thank you. Miriam, you want to add anything to what keeps you in this?
I mean, probably it's obedience, isn't it, to the Lord. He's called me to the things that I've got to do today, and that's what I've got to do, whether I like it or not. Yeah, there's loads of times when I think, oh, it'd be so much easier if I worked at somewhere else. Or even like you were saying, another church or a ministry, but soon you're going to find that those people in that church and ministry are sinners and annoying and, everything else that you've just left. So, you've got to just do what the Lord's called you to do today, and remember that you're serving him ultimately.
Thank you. I have one final question. I want to make a statement, though. This is important that I want to make in light of where we are and what we're doing. And why I really wanted this panel to happen, for you to be able to hear from these ladies. As I travel and work with all kinds of churches and pastors, I'm going to make a bold statement. You feel free to find me at lunch and push back. Most complementarian churches stink at equipping women and setting them up to find their ministry call and to encourage them in it and find ways for them to step into that. I want everybody to feel challenged by that, and feel free to take me up on it, on why that's maybe inaccurate, because I don't think it is. I want everybody to be challenged here on how men and women in your church can be equipped, and they are called, and to help them find out what that is. In light of that, I want to ask you all a final question. Ladies out here who are trying to sort through, God's calling me, but I don't have a lot of people around me probably encouraging that call. What advice, maybe one piece of advice from each one of you on how would you encourage them to pursue that call, sort through that call? Miriam, can I start with you? Yeah.
I think probably the first place to start is with your elders. Go and speak to your elders and say, I feel that the Lord is calling me to whatever it is, whether that's within that church or outside. And also speak to people that really know you. Do you know, trusted friends, if you've got somebody that's discipling you or somebody that's known you for a lot of years, speak to them about it and see if they agree with what you're saying.
Okay, thank you. Andrea, any word of advice for ladies sitting out here sorting through a ministry call?
Yeah, I love that you said inside and outside of the church. I want to also pivot on that, because this is my first paid position in a church in the 20 or so years that we have ever done ministry. And so I just want to remind you that vocational ministry is not your only ministry, and that as Christians we are all called to serve. And I love that Miriam said to go ask the elders. I think that's super wise advice. You should be getting discipled by somebody. So if you're not doing that already, that should be the right place to start. But also, ministry is happening. I know the new buzzword is the marketplace, but that's where people are. And so to also consider that. And then where I have seen the most fruit and the most longevity in ministry is where you are serving, where your passions and your abilities are. That's the best intersection.
Great, thank you, Andrea. Shaba, you want to add anything to
No,
sorting
not
through?
really. I mean, the girls said it all. Like, I would go
Surely
to
not, Shaba,
I mean,
surely
it's
not.
true,
Come on.
it's true.
Yeah.
I would have gone, I would have started where Miriam started, go to your elders. I am always surprised by women who say to me, I desperately want to serve as a women's worker. And I always say to them, what are you doing in your local church? And they say, nothing. That, to me, if you are striving to, wanting to serve on mission fields, I reckon a big sign of that would be that you're already serving wholeheartedly in your church. And so the girls hit the nail on the head, nothing else to say, sir.
Yeah.
I feel I had to, because you made me.
You did great job. Thank
Appreciate
you.
that. Did I get a gold star?
Yeah. Thank you, ladies. I want to share that the reason I want to challenge us in this way is I was one of those pastors. I have a strong, gifted wife I'm married to. I have 3 daughters that are very gifted and want them to serve the Lord. I was always for them in that. What I found is I spent years, I was so consumed with training men for pastoral ministry that I actually woke up one day and realized I was not serving our ladies in our church well. So I want to challenge you as one who Lord really broke my heart in my lack of raising ladies up in that way and helping women who clearly have clear gifts, unique gifts for ministry. And I remember when I made that shift, that it was actually uncomfortable with some of the people in our church. But I saw God do some amazing things. I got the privilege, there's 32-year-old single woman we sent out as a missionary to an undisclosed place, a closed country, to be a missionary. She's still there to this day. And plenty of support, went with a team, all those kinds of things. But I want to challenge ladies in the room to pray with open hands of what God might have for you. And I want to put these ladies in front of you because you need to seek them out. Can I give that? I ask for permission from you all to find these ladies today. Pull them aside for 10 minutes. Any questions, any follow-up you have with them, I believe they'd be eager to want to talk to you about that as you're trying to sort through your own ministry call. And as Shaba mentioned, in your own local church, first of all, what ways can you begin to serve? And then maybe in thinking about a women's worker ministries, what these ladies are doing in their different ministries and the partnerships out here. So just want to challenge you in that way. Ladies, thank you for your witness, your voice, your fellowship and your example in so many different ways. Can we thank them for coming up, sharing with us? All right. Thank you, ladies.